I gotta record something. So basically, um, last month I've been thinking about my last relationship, my ex. I don't really like using that word, so I'm just gonna make it awkward and say my last relationship. Um, and I was just thinking of her, and progressively over the month, it just became more and more, and basically it got to a point where I was just like thinking about her like throughout the day, throughout the days. And last week I just had this desire to reach out, right? And I'm like, or I mean, like for the last like I would say like 3 weeks, I've just had this desire to reach out, and I was just telling, I was just like bringing it to God. I was like, what's going on here? Is this just like me wanting to connect with someone because I'm quote unquote lonely, or because I'm just lacking and I want that familiarity, or because I've cut these things out and I'm just seeking like connection, or because is it like a genuine like care and all this. And I kind of went through all the emotions, and I came to a conclusion that like it's just because I genuinely care, like genuinely just like care for her, and I just wanted to like see. And I didn't really like want to fix anything. I was just kind of like, I went to God, and I was just like, I went to God. I remember this one night I went to God, and I was just like, God, when like I remember like maybe a week and a half ago, I was just like, God, whenever I think of her, like I just feel lack. I just feel sadness. I do feel loss. So like she's partly true. Like I was maybe a little regretful, and I wouldn't say desperate, but like yearning for it. And I took this to God, and I was like, God, like what do I do with this? Like how am I supposed to see this? And he was just like, you know, all this loss, all this lack, it's actually gain. And I was like, what did I gain? Right? And he's like, you've gained a new heart. You've gained a new understanding of identity, yourself, other people, her. You might have lost her, but you gained a lot, right? And I was like, okay, well, what do I do with this desire to like reach out to her, right? And I don't remember what he said, but I have it recorded down somewhere. I'm gonna see if I can remember it here in like the next 5 seconds. Um, oh yes, I remember. He said that this desire you have is good. He said this desire you have is good. It's coming from a place of care, and you just want to do better from what you know now, and you just have a new maturity, new heart. Like he just said, basically, like that desire you have. Yes, like you see it as loss, but it's actually like a good thing, and that just brought so much peace to me. And just like after that happened, over like the next few days, I was able to just like disconnect my worth, or maybe not my worth. My worth probably hasn't been connected to that in a while, but like disconnect my um, understand my emotions and my beliefs around it. And I was still struggling though with this like thought of like, do I reach out or do I not? Right. And I basically like told God like what should I do, and he didn't really like give me an answer. At first he said no, then I thought I heard him say yes, and then I thought I heard him say wait. So I was like, what's going on here? Um, but then I just kind of like was thinking about it logically, and it was just like, normally when he doesn't give you an answer, it doesn't really matter what you do. And I was like, okay, you know what? I'm just gonna reach out. Like I can't mess up as long as I, you know, don't do anything sinful, like disobey or have any bad beliefs or condemn or anything. Um, and I just had this peace when I just knew that it didn't matter which path I took, as long as just like I did my best, to um, adhere to like God, then we were good, right? And it's kind of like choosing a career. It's like there's no like career option that's just like the right one, and every other one is like the wrong option. It's just kind of like you get to choose, right? And that's what God was kind of saying. It's just like you choose, like you choose which way you want to surrender. Do you want to surrender by giving her up right now and just moving on, or do you want to surrender by trying again, seeing if she's open to it? And if she says no, you're okay. And I was just like, in both cases, I'm okay. Like in both cases, there's faith and fear and all this stuff, but either way, I'm good. So like 3 days ago, I reached out. She responds, right? You can tell she's hesitant a little bit, right? Maybe a little bit defensive, afraid. Um, but I'm just like super kind, and basically, I just like tell her like I would like to call, if you're open to it. And that's like a brave, bold thing for me to ask. Like it's been like 2 or 3 months, and um she basically like left me on red for a day or two, came back and was basically like, you should, she was like, if you paid me 500, would you still get on call? And this was like an exciting thing for me because I'm like, I definitely would pay 500. It was also a little bit sad because I was like, why do you need 500? And I was like, can't lie, a lot of people would see this as me simping, but low key, I just like didn't care about the money and I actually just wanted to talk with her. So like, yeah, I'll pay the 500. It's kind of like an Isaac moment. I was like, you know, I can't see her like living with the conscience of taking 500 from me, and like I just know her, like she wouldn't want to do that, and I was right. um I also like kind of played it around. I was like, I'll spend the 500 if like you take some of that 500 and you let me see you and we like do stuff together, right? But anyways, um but I was right. She then says, I send it, and then she's like, Caden, I don't want your money, take it back, and then she basically says like, um she doesn't want to do it, she, or not that she, yeah, she said she doesn't, I don't forget what exactly she said, but I think it was on the lines of like, I don't want to do it, you're just desperate and you're just regretful. And regretful, yeah, maybe a little bit, but like not to the point where I'm desperate, um but I didn't like hate her for that. I understand where she's coming from, and I was just said like, I care, that's, I'm reaching out because I care. And I just kind of like disarmed her, maybe. But she still said like she just didn't want to, and she just couldn't do it right now, and to take the money back. And I took it back, and I just said, thank you for considering at least. Bye. And guys, I have so much peace right now. People might look at that. She might have looked at that. She might have seen like a dude simping, willing to pay $500. Or you know, you might see me as like desperate, or um, just like lovesick or something. But honestly, like, I don't care what you guys think or what she thought. Like, I was generally, the whole time I was going through this, I was just like, my identity is secured. My worth is not in this. In a way, it's like a win-win for me because it's like God's got me, and I know that, and I just have peace now. Like I can just be like, God. I did my best. Like I genuinely cared, and I was willing to, you know, not make it up, but like to try. And you know, whether she was too afraid or too hurt or just didn't want to, it's totally fine, right? And I understand. Um, but what's interesting is I actually had a dream about her last night, and I think that dream was pretty close to what happened today. Um, Basically in the dream, like she, basically like we were together, and apparently we just had like a conflict, and I for some reason I gave her like 19K. I gave her 19K. She was back in school. She was in a dorm with someone on like the top floor of like this kind of like mansion looking, not fancy, but like kind of like a huge orphanage, but it wasn't an orphanage. It was just like school dorms, and she was on the top floor. And I remember I was having a conversation with her partner in the dorm, and she was just telling me like, she just hated that I just like mentioned this like Bible verse or something. And I was like, okay, I understand, right? And she kind of like gave off vibes that like she just didn't like me or whatever, but that's just how it started. That's just how I remember it. And then after she came in, I remember giving her a hug, and I just like genuine care, like genuine cared hug, like a loving hug. And then fast forward, we somehow jumped to this scene, where basically I'm like looking out the window of this dorm room from this roof, and you can see there's like a desert, there's a bridge crossing this river, and then there's like forest on the other side. And I'm watching this guy walk across the bridge from the forest, and oh, I forgot to mention, I'm like a vampire in this. I'm like a vampire in this. Like I think I'm a vampire and like someone's trying to hunt me down or something like that. You know, someone's hunting me down. This guy walks across the bridge and I know him. He's trying to hunt me down. I know something bad's gonna happen, and Um, she's out at her car, you know, in the parking lot, and basically, I'm just like something's bad's gonna happen, and then like we jump to the scene where someone carries her up to the dorm, and I basically like just like steal her from whoever was holding her, and I just like bring her down to the ground, and she's dead, and I'm like just like weeping, and I was like, damn, bro, this is like hardcore. Like it's almost making me a little bit emotional now. Um, but basically, I think what that was basically how I interpret that is like, you know, um, you gotta grieve things, and um, you know, you gotta let things die. And the way that dream happened, I recorded it down, and then this happened today. You know, I don't really think it's like too much of a leap to say it was coincidence. Um, but I'm uh I'm at peace. I'm at so much peace. I'm still like a little sad because I genuinely did care, and I like knew her at a certain level, and I know she cared about me. And you know whether her heart's hard or she just doesn't genuinely want to, or she's just busy in life or thinking about other things. You know, it doesn't bother me too much, and I'm able to just be secure in this and actually just be like, okay, you know, like I gave it my best. You know, I do care, but just because I care doesn't mean I have to like pursue, and I can like put the reins down and be like, move on. Um, and you know, none of this would have been possible without God. Like the amount of times I had to go to God and be like, God, take away these deceitful desires I have of, you know, wanting to get back with her because of this, or you know, this or that. Like, why is this happening to me? You know, like what am I supposed to do with what's happening to me? These emotions. And just like giving that to God. When you give something to God, He doesn't waste it, right? And He takes it and He flips it around. He multiplies it. You know, makes it life, right? And that's what I got out of all this. And yeah, I've just been like praying for her too. You know, over the last so long. But now I can actually just be like, we're good. We can actually move on now, and I just have so much peace with that. And um, you're gonna see it in my life over the next like 6 months. You're just gonna see the peace. I feel the peace, you know, and the seeds are being planted. But like people are gonna see it. People are gonna see it, and not that she was like, you know, the thing that like had to happen for that to happen, but like it was a part of it, and I'm excited. I'm a little scared, but I'm like really excited, and you know, God's laid out a new path, and it's, you know, it doesn't matter like what I do and what I choose for career or any of this. Like God's got me, and as long as I have faith in that, like it'll go well, and I do my best to obey. You know, it's gonna be great. But that's basically what I want to share, and yeah, I hope you guys enjoy the video. If you're dealing with someone in that you've been with, like bring it to God. You know, like bring it to God. Know His word, because knowing His word is basically going to bring you so much peace. I have so much peace because of His word, and getting answers from Him, and sometimes not getting answers from Him. Right, when you don't get answers from God, it means like it's up to you, right? Like, and yeah, I just thank Him for that, and I'm going to be praying about her, and stepping back, you know, and it's gonna be great. But anyways, peace.